Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. Today we are discussing a lovely third series FP Journe Tourbillon Souverain. This is the Tourbillon Remontoir of the first generation, that is the pre-gold movement, brass caliber, 38 millimeters, rose gold. This is an extraordinarily early example. As you can see, the case year is 2000, and the serial in the continuity of these things is well under number 70. So I will give you that little clue that this is one of the first 70 made, and there are some distinctive features of this watch that mark it as an early piece, and also some that are idiosyncratic, like the presence of Portuguese import control marks on the side. We have the hallmarking right there on the flank of the lug. That's not a Swiss mark, that is a Portuguese market mark. So 38 millimeters in diameter. You can see that this is a lovely watch because it's for him and it's for her. At this point, it's a power watch that can be considered unisex. It's a lovely, versatile size. So 38 in diameter, 9.5 millimeters thick from lug tip to lug tip, 44.8 with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. On my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, you get a good sense of its fit, very comfortable. The lugs are nowhere near the edge of my wrist, so I could see this wearing well on a wrist, perhaps even as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference. And you can see how much clearance even my tiny wrist has, so it really is that good a match for a small wrist. And it's flat. Most of the early Journe watches were. At well under 10 millimeters thick with a domed bezel, it'll slide underneath the dress cuff. Taking a look at the watch, you can see that the strap is much newer than the watch itself. It's a modern Journe factory strap, which means we have pull-tab spring bars, pop it off without a tool. We have small round scale alligator below large rectangular scale alligator leather. And the general idea here is a more expensive strap that lasts a lot longer. Gator on both sides gives you that. This watch deserves the best. No crimping, no gouging. It's a brand new Journe strap. You can see in profile the edge is folded. We have a monotone stitch. It's a very, very dark brown. Journe lugs tend to be drilled very close to the case to move the pivot centers in for better small wrist fit. And the solution to prevent any kind of impediment to the motion is to use a curved spring bar, which you can see right there. Yep. This watch features Portuguese hallmarks on the side. We have a little swallow next to 750. That's your telltale right there. And it's a strange world looking back a quarter of a century when luxury watches were being hallmarked on their visible flanks. Just something to note, sign of the times. Here we have a buckle featuring Swiss hallmark, but curiously, the Portuguese showed less interest in this component. Now, taking a look at the case, Journe pretty much hit it out of the park on the first swing. There's been really no need for this case design to change over the years since Journe launched his first eponymous wristwatches in '99. We have blended lugs, we have a domed bezel and a symmetrical case back, both domed with flanges that define the mid-case, and a Calatrava-style blending of the lugs into the case band with a 90-degree turn from the horizontal of the case to the downward point of the tapered lugs. We have Journe's distinctive crown, no branding, double dimpled and then knurled, so very distinctive but not branding. But there's plenty of branding on the dial. He invented and made it, you know it. And of course, these early dials with their unique treatment wound up with all sorts of highlights. And you can see that typically it's near printing on the dial. So where we have transferred print, there is a distinct discoloration, a little bit of sort of a lacquer marbling, if you will, as the varnish on these dials tends to discolor in sort of an uneven fashion. But it's a nice little patina, and it's characteristic of these early watches. It gives them a lot of charm, as do the large screws you can see present and correct on the dial. Now, a first series would be the souscription, so you'd have numbering out of 20 on the dial. The second series would have been just like that, albeit without the individual numbering, but you would have had a rounded remontoir cock. And so the third series has the flat remontoir cock and no individual numberings. It's not a 20-piece series, but you can also see that we still have these large screws on the dial side. When those screws get smaller, you're looking at a fourth series. And of course, also on these third series, the power reserve scale numerals are about the same size as the minute numerals on the primary dial. So these are interesting watches in that when 28 hours elapses, the remontoire, the constant force device, will deactivate to keep the watch running, but the tourbillon will no longer be receiving equal force. Remontoire d'égalité. You need to wind the watch fully at the same time every day. And you can see down at the bottom that the little window into the remontoire goes from scrolling to jumping out right. On the second series of the Tourbillon Souverain that debuted with a rose gold movement in 2004, Journe would convert this into a jumping seconds indicator. So we've got the time, power reserve indicator. Remember, only 28 hours encompasses the operation of the remontoire, so you want to wind it at the same time every day. You have the jumping of the mechanism, then you have the tourbillon. The way the remontoire works is it is a spring that sits between the barrel and the escapement. And so once every second, that spring will load up and then unload, sending the energy downstream to the escapement. So for the first 28 hours of operation, the barrel is not directly driving the tourbillon. As a result, that constant force ensures constant amplitude, which allows the watch to be regulated very precisely in 6 positions. You can see we have this lovely filigree wire-style cage around the tourbillon. It almost has the form of a bell, and it is by far the most beautifully decorated structure in the whole watch, from this rounded and mirror-polished bridge down to the tourbillon cage itself. This is where the money was spent on decoration. And on Journe watches, particularly early ones, they tend not to be elaborately decorated, so this is really an exception. This is where the money was spent both technologically and aesthetically. It's a 3 Hz beat rate. You can see it's free sprung for durability and precise setting with the timing adjustments, primarily done using eccentric masses on the balance. And then we have that overcoil hairspring, so in every position, the centered mass of the overcoil leads to concentric breathing and better time keeping. The dial is made of precious metal, and then it's the varnish on top of it that gives it this tendency to fade and discolor. So that's what you're looking at there. We have a silver dial surrounded by a steel bezel that's polished, and this dial side fixing hardware was a little bit controversial in the early days of Journe, but it would later be highly admired and frequently copied by others. Take a quick look at the power reserve indicator. It works like a marine chronometer in that it indicates 0 when the watch is fully wound. So the importance of that is that on a marine chronometer, and really on this watch as well, you're supposed to wind the watch at the same time every day, so you needed to know how many hours since the last winding. 0 means 0 hours since the last winding. You just wound it. And so at 24 indicated, you would wind the marine chronometer, and ideally this as well. You can see that we have mirror finishing and beveling on the cock for the remontoire operation, and then we'll turn it all over, and you can see one of the distinctive features of these really early watches. Like the first few dozen, we have this shallow engraving on the case back, and I have a slightly later example. You can see here, these are both 3rd series watches, but the one in my left hand is a newer execution. It's a later 3rd series watch. So turning it over, you can see we have this rather deeply engraved text on the case back. You can see that case was also made in 2001. And then here, with the circa 2000 case, T is the reference, you can see just how shallow that engraving really is. Now, I've used series and generation pretty much interchangeably here. What I mean to say is there were 4 primary series of the original tourbillon with remontoire, the 1, 2, 3, and the 4, and then the 5th would have been the rutheniums, which were the only ones made in 40 millimeters. But then the 2nd generation had a rose gold movement rather than the earlier watches' brass movements, and even the ruthenium watches feature brass movements. So that's what we've got right here. Now, a few things to note. We've got the hallmarks of both Switzerland and France on this watch. So Eleanor, Journe's original case maker out of France, made these cases and would continue to do so until roughly halfway through the 2008 model year. Taking a look at the movement, you can see that it is the 1498. So 14 is the size in French line. It's an archaic measurement, but it is still something that is used by Journe for historical reasons. The movement is 32.4 millimeters in diameter. It's made of brass with rhodium-coated bridges, so it doesn't look rose gold, so to speak, something that was discontinued about mid-2004 in Journe watchmaking. And 98 was the year Journe started work on the movement, so that's how you figure out what these different codes mean. 1498 in Journe's big. Of course, we've got 25 jewels, and you can see the remontoir spring on the back. We have one blued screw, and then the rest are polished. You can see engine turning on the base plate on both sides. You can see it down past the tourbillon structure. And then we have a satinated and beveled click with spring and solarized ratchet and crown wheels. So it's a good looking movement, but Journe doesn't gild the lily. This is all about technological innovation. The watch has received the subsequent Holt head screws, so at some point it's been back for service. Another look at those Portuguese hallmarks, so you can get a good look at them for yourself. Very rare and collectible watch. It goes without saying that in this world, there are very few watches that can be described as investments, and this is one of them. F.P. Journe is without a doubt the most influential modern watchmaker, both in terms of how he changed the course of the industry and pushed it towards more independence, and also created the ambition in young watchmakers to start making watches under their own name right out of watch school, something Journe himself, working for customers for decades, never got to do. So this is an important watch by an important watchmaker, and it's one of the rarest and most collectible of Journe's original series tourbillons, or original generation tourbillon. So this is Generation 1, Series 3, big screw, and within the first 70 made. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.